Carolina Panthers win their regular season finale at Atlanta, 44-38 in overtime. Lockdown Panthers host Julian Council joining me for the 17th and final time this year. Julian, you might lose a bit of draft position, but you see Bryce Young set a career high, accounting for 5 touchdowns and leading another late win. So you'll take that, right, as a Panthers fan?
Absolutely, and I think Panther fans will take some hope heading into the offseason and a win to start off 2025. And honestly, Nick, going into the season, the only thing I thought that truly mattered for the Carolina Panthers was finding out whether they had something at all in Bryce Young, and turns out since week 9, I know we came back in week 8, but since week 9 in that win against New Orleans, Bryce Young, the last 2 months of the season, has shown that he, in fact, is the Carolina Panthers starting quarterback in 2025 and probably beyond, as he has certainly shown that maybe, after all, they did not make that mistake by getting up there to number 1 and taking him as their franchise quarterback, as he has looked the part the last 2 months of the season. Certainly looked the part again on Sunday against Atlanta, career high with 5 total touchdowns, 3 through the air, 2 on the ground. Panther fans should absolutely take having a quarterback finally over another top 10 pick, which they're getting anyways, as the top 10 picks have not gotten them anywhere, but it certainly seemed to have gotten them to Bryce Young, who so it looks like he's the guy moving forward.
Julian, how much does 3-1 in overtime, how does that hit you when it comes to Bryce Young and being the franchise quarterback?
Well, it's not even just the 3-1 in overtime. It's every single time it feels like the Panthers have won with Bryce Young as their starting quarterback. It's been in walk-off fashion. Go back to a season ago, both the wins against Houston and Atlanta, the only 2 wins of the season, 2023, were both walk-off wins. The win against the Giants in Munich in walk-off fashion, the Cardinals win, this win. I want to say the only time where they've won the game in regulation or even overtime, well, I guess regulation, where it's not been a walk-off, was that Week 9 win against the Saints. So It says that Bryce Young can get it done in crunch time, which is what you always want. Fans want to talk about whether a quarterback is clutch, and we certainly had that weekly conversation with Teddy Bridgewater back in 2020 when he went for 0 for 8 in situations where the Panthers could have either won or tied the game. You don't have that question when it comes to Bryce Young. You had that question with Baker when he was briefly here. You had that question with Sam Darnold when he was here. That's not the question with Bryce Young, and I'm honestly just happy for the guy. He went through a lot, getting benched, looking like his career in Carolina was going to be over. Teams across the NFL were inquiring. I thought that he was done. I came up here and said it's over for Bryce Young, and hand up, I got that wrong. And Bryce Young clearly is going to be the guy next year, and it looks like he's going to be the guy for a long time in Carolina if this is who he's going to be completely moving forward here as Carolina Panthers starting quarterback.
What's Bryce Young's attribute that separates him from other quarterbacks, and how much of it did you see over these last 10 games?
He's never going to be the biggest guy, as we know. He's not going to grow. He's never going to have the biggest arm. We heard all about his ability to process, and we've certainly seen that. But, man, I don't know. It just feels like he's a gamer. And I know that's a cliche term, which, that gets thrown out by a lot of people nowadays anyways when trying to describe any quarterback, whether it's that one or they talk about guys being a gunslinger. He's just a gamer. You see that play he made in overtime where he gets out of the pocket trying to extend the play, jumps up, flicks it over to Jalen Coker for what almost was the game-winning walk-off touchdown. You saw stuff like that. You saw just the throws that he's made over the last couple of weeks where, with anticipation, he has the blitz coming at him. The throw to Adam Thielen on that 3rd and 3 to start off the game. I just think the dude's just a gamer, and that goes with the ability to get out of the pocket, keep things going, be off structure, and find a way to make some plays down the field, which he's done over the last 2 months, what he did again today in this game. So he's just got the goods. Clearly, we've seen it. This is the guy that Carolina saw at Alabama, and he's finally here, as it looks like he is going to be the franchise.
Julian, coach and quarterback that go together. Dave Canales finishing his first season 5-12. What is your assessment of his rookie head coaching season?
I'm going to ignore the first 8 games when they were 1-7. I'm looking at the final 9 games of the season when Bryce Young was back in there as their starting quarterback. Now, final 10 because of Denver game, but final 9 where they went 4-5. And we saw how they played against New Orleans, who obviously wasn't a great team. Neither was Carolina, but they won that game. And what was important than to go on the road, or go not on the road as a home game technically, but they go to Germany to face off against the Giants, get that overtime win. And that's when things really started to turn. But the way that they were able to play against Kansas City at home, the two-time defending Super Bowl champions, the way that they played against Tampa at home the first time, who ended up winning the NFC South today, the way they played against Philadelphia, who's going to be a Super Bowl contender again this season. That showed you that Dave Canales' team was starting to really buy in and actually show some of the things that he'd wanted to do. He talked about from the very beginning getting the football right, and it certainly feels like in the final 9 games of the season they did this. And yes, I understand they had the stinker against Dallas where Bryce turned the ball over 4 times, which was really the blame, and the defense not being able to get off the field. And I know the game also last week against Tampa Bay wasn't great either, but this has been a different competitive spirit. It's been a different vibe when I've heard in that locker room, and it really feels like this is something they can build on moving forward, where in years past, I don't know if you could say that after 2019 and after 2020, after 2021 and all the last couple of years where they've not made the playoffs. And this is for the first time in a long time where it feels like, okay, you got the quarterback in place, you got the head coach in place, and this could be something that could be lasting in Carolina for the future.
Julian, we will hear from GM Dan Morgan on Monday. What would your biggest question be for him?
Oh, what are you going to do about the defense? Because this has been by far the worst defense in the 30-season history of the Carolina Panthers, giving up 534 points, the most points ever given up in a single season by a team. And I understand that there's the pick 6 that Andy Dalton threw that goes in terms of his scoring. They blocked punt, from a week ago against Tampa that goes into the scoring, but still, this defense was not good. They did not have Derek Brown for the vast majority of the season. They were missing Shaq Thompson. They had other starters that missed some time, including J.C. Horn the last 2 weeks. I understand all that plays into it, but this defense overall feels like it's devoid of the kind of talent that you need to be a top upper echelon defense in the NFL and really complement what this offense has become in the final weeks of this 2024 regular season. So I want to know, how are we going to get more talent out there to help complement guys like, of course, Bryce Young on offense, but really Derek Brown and J.C. Horn, and who are you going to bring in to elevate those guys and get this defense back on track? Because this franchise has been known for playing hard smash mouth football defensively and being a team that can run the ball. They're going to be able to run the ball moving forward, but will they be able to play defense? It's going to come down to the personnel they can acquire this offseason.
All right, Julian, they're going to have a top 10 pick, but partly due to the win in Week 18, might be out of reach for one of those high-end defensive players when you talk about Mason Graham and Abdul Carter. So what should they do there?
Yeah, we'll see. I do think that defense would make a lot of sense, and I don't know if they're going to be able to completely turn around this unit in one offseason totally. We saw with the offensive line, which is just one piece of the offense this past offseason, they spent big money on Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt on the first day of free agency. They certainly could try to attack one element of the defense, whether it's up front on a defensive line, whether it's at edge rusher or maybe at linebacker, which may not be necessary with Trevin Wallace and Josie Jewell likely being back next year as a starting linebacker pair. But in secondary, they're going to have to make some decisions, as I believe all 3 of their top safeties that coming into the season, Damani Richardson's become one of those. Those guys are going to be free agents after this season. So we'll see. I do think that defense would make sense, but we got to get through free agency. Got to see who they want to bring back on this current roster before being able to have those conversations. But yeah, Mason Graham out of Michigan would make a lot of sense next to Derek Brown, and Abdul Carter would make a lot of sense. As we saw at the pass rush, it wasn't great this season even, but when DJ Wonnum came, it helped, and Clowney had 5.5 sacks this season, but they certainly need a lot of help in a lot of areas throughout that defense.
How shocked would you be if defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero is still with Carolina next year?
Honestly, wouldn't be that shocked. If people are willing to listen to the signs that Dave Canales has been giving them all year long, it's that it's not been the scheme. It's been the players. Now, those have not been his words, but he has been asked about Ejiro Evero, and he says constantly that he likes the scheme. And he has talked about defensively against the run, where Carolina today gave up their 6th straight 200-plus yard rushing game to end the season, which is just an absolute embarrassment. He talked about there's guys that have not been connected, have not been doing their job. So if it's not the scheme that you have an issue with, it's likely the talent or lack thereof that's been out there defensively. So they retained him. He was a hot name this time last year, got 3 head coaching interviews, potentially could have been to D.C. and New York with the Giants, or out in L.A. with the Rams, or in Green Bay with the Packers had he been allowed to leave. And it would be really interesting for someone to effectively be held hostage and have to stay here in Carolina and didn't get fired a year later when he had some good opportunities a year ago. So I would not be surprised because Dave Canales has constantly stood by Ejiro Evero in his scheme. So, I mean, why stop now?
Broncos are back in the playoffs. They haven't been there since they beat the Panthers in Super Bowl 50. That also leaves the Panthers with the second longest playoff drought in the NFL, only to the New York Jets. How close is Carolina to getting back to that postseason?
Yeah, I mean, the NFC South deal of it, you look at Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield has proven that he clearly is their guy long term after last year with Dave Canales and this year with Liam Cohen as his OC. He's got the goods. So Tampa's going to probably be fine moving forward. Jason Light has been their general manager for a long time. So I think Tampa's not going away. New Orleans have no idea what to expect from them other than to be the cellar dwellers of the NFC South for the upcoming future. Atlanta, I've loved Michael Penix Jr. when he was at Indiana. I loved him at Washington. Love what I saw from him today, even if he is on the opposition. I do think that they can get things figured out, and they'll probably be a team that'll be right up there around the 8-9 win total that they were at this season. So it's not really like there's any dominant player. It's not like you got to go against Patrick Mahomes like everybody in the AFC West has to. We got to go up against Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. Like NFC, it's still pretty open as far as just where these teams can go in the ceiling for these teams because there's not just that dominant quarterback, but they got to fix the defense. They have questions on the offensive line as far as what they're going to do with Ike Ekwonu, that fifth-year option. Taylor Moton has a $31 million cap hit. There's no way he's playing right tackle next season with that cap hit for Carolina, so they can figure out what they want to do at center as well. Is it Cade Mays? Does Austin Corbett get a chance? Brady Christensen? Of course, defensively, a number of things need to be improved talent-wise, maybe schematically if that's what they want to do as far as a new defensive coordinator. So I don't think they're that far away, but I certainly don't think they're as close as you want to believe after the last 9 games.
Does Bryce Young have the best chance to be that dominant quarterback in this division?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Because you look at it, I mean, Baker was number 1 overall pick, and he took the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. Let's understand just how bad Cleveland was for just decades. And he took them to the playoffs, and they won. And they were very close to beating KC that afternoon when Chad Henne had to come in for Patrick Mahomes when he went out with that concussion. So Baker has shown that he's a damn good football player and good quarterback. So, I mean, he's the top one right now. I mean, Bryce could absolutely get there. Michael Penix, he has the tools to get there as well. It's hard for me to say yes or no because, I mean, I like all 3 of these guys and what they have, at least with Baker, what he's become. So it's a possibility, but I'm not quite ready to say that just yet. I want to see more.
But it's not Derek Carr.
No,
or Spencer
absolutely
Rattler.
not. No, God bless him, but I don't think so.
Julian Council from Locked On Panthers, thanks for joining me. Great season.